when he's looking at the kid licking the pole. He's like, "What's he doing?" And I'm like, he's licking a pole outside. He's like, "You don't do that while it's cold." And he goes, like, "You need help?" I'm like, "Yes, he'll need the fire department." Like, he gets his head ripped from the pole, and he's like, my kid's like, "Is it hurt?" I'm like, "Yes, it hurts." Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel, a podcast about video games, entertainment, anime, life, a little bit of everything in between. I'm your host today, Joe, and with me, the man who always parties like it's 1999, Nick. How you doing, Nick?
Yeah, I pull out Dreamcast, and I play Shenmue and Virtua Fighter on it. Um, and I'm going to be doing that again this year. I also uh, I listen to Goo Goo Dolls and that song "I Get Knocked Down." No, maybe that might have been, yeah, but that'd be like a year old, I think. I also listen to Eiffel 65, but that's just normal. I think everyone does that. Um, yeah, I always try to party like it's 1999.
All right. Glad you held up you ran with the bit. That was awesome. All right.
I did my best, Joe.
Yeah.
I always, I always, sometimes do. How do you
Yes,
party?
and right.
How do you party? Do you do you
Um,
party hard?
with children now, so I mean, I don't know. It's kind of
And
my
that's
my
why you're
levels
not
used to be
allowed
up
within 1,000 feet
here,
of a
and
school.
now my levels now I'm down to here, and it's just like the people that have kids, it'd be great. You'll have lots of fun, and it's just like, okay, when does it get fun, guys? Um,
When they move out.
but yeah, so 18 years, right?
You've
20
you've
maybe.
told me a
Uh,
couple times about some things that your kids do that you just have you're just tickled pink by, especially now that some of them, that the one of them is starting to talk and be aware of the world. It's
yeah,
sweet.
my youngest is now finally starting to show that they care about us. So that's like, yay, we get positive affirmation, not just a resting attitude. So it's just like, the we officially spoiled the kids this year for Halloween. Uh, yeah, it was just like I think halfway through gift buying, I had to turn to my wife and I'm like, yep, I actually think it's official. We're spoiling them, and then that didn't stop me from continuing to buy other stuff. And I'm like, all right, cool. You're gonna get the stuff that I didn't get to have as a kid, and yeah, that works. So they have way more toys than they need to. But I'm like, cool. Now we can liquidate the old stuff, and luckily there's a few friends that are having some kids, so we're like, all right, cool. Just pass it along. Secondhand, nothing wrong with that. So
Mm.
I know had some family over as well. And as far as New Year's goes, every New Year's we have a buddy of ours comes down from Wisconsin, and that's just kind of been tradition since we moved to the states again. So yeah, it'll be nice to see them again. It's always the one guarantee that we have. Like even during COVID, we're like, yeah, we don't care, just come on by. I mean, so long as you're not showing symptoms and we're not, we're all good. So it was the one consistent. But yeah,
It's good.
uh, you do anything special for New Year's?
Yeah, I went up to see my brother in Dallas, and
Oh, that was for Christmas?
yeah, I did that for Thanksgiving, and they invited me back for Christmas, so I did that as
Oh, they like
well.
you.
What?
I said, "Oh, they liked you."
I guess. But yeah, I'm kind of my nephew is getting older now. He's a titeenager, and he's starting to like me more. So that's cool. I didn't had a hard time relating to him for a while, but he's kind of starting to like me more. I think it's just time, just spending more time with him. But anyway, so that was good, and I picked up some good used items from my brother as well. He gave me this Cowboys uh, puffy jacket, basically like the one that Jimmy Johnson used to wear in the '90s, because it's from the '90s. But anyway, it's a really nice Cowboys jacket. And I was like, dang. So been enjoying wearing that. Some nice drip. But yeah, it was a pretty cool. Um, and yeah, came back. Oh, I don't know if I should admit this, but I made it So you probably won't really know, but um, it takes like 3.5 hours, maybe a little more, to go from Dallas to Austin normally. But I drove back on Christmas Day, and I drove. I won't say how fast I was driving, but I made it back in under 3 hours. And I stopped for gas twice. One of the times I didn't need you at all, but I made it back. I made it back in that amount of time, and there's a lot of people on the road. People were passing me still, going very fast. But I found out later that there's a statewide police stand down order on Christmas Day this past year. So I guess
That's
I
hilarious.
got lucky with that one. But I was just going with. I mean, there was nobody on the road really. I mean, there's some people, but it wasn't really heavy traffic and it's just clear the whole way. So it was cool. Definitely the fastest I'll probably ever go from Dallas to Austin or vice versa. So yeah. Anyway, that was my Christmas.
Yeah,
It was pretty cool.
there's a stretch of highway here outside of Chicago where it's like it's 55 and it's a paid toll area, and it's just like if you're in this 3 lane wide, and if you're in the left lane, doing 70 in a 55, you're risking getting shot because you're going too damn slow. It's just like you have to be doing at least 75, 80. It's just like that is the acceptable left lane, route in a 55 zone. And that is just the morning commute.
I mean, like even whenever it's normal and there's a normal amount of traffic or more than a normal amount of traffic, it's like 78, 80. We're right at 80. Is the kind of flow of traffic going, going to and from Dallas from Austin. So um, I think that's just like there's a lot of road. There's some road that's 75. So I think the speed limits will be 80 um, in the next decade or two, just because the cars can handle it, and it's just the roads are kind of being built to accommodate it. I think. But anyway, enough
Yep.
about road talk, road rage.
Well, all right. We do talk about video games sometimes, and
Sometimes.
the this last couple weeks have been a little weak on the news, but Nick here has picked what he feels like we should talk about. So here we go. What do you
Yeah,
got for us?
a little weak on the news. Just you made me aware of this Insomniac situation. Um, this is a week old now, but basically a ransomware group claimed that they had hacked Insomniac and had a bunch of stolen files and information. So they're trying to get money, approximately $2 million or 50 bitcoins or whatever, um, in order to, I guess, give the data back without exposing it. Um, so yeah, there's not really a lot of information that I can see. Insomniac is um,
It's a touchy subject because there's, you have the basic information that, most people would be semi interested in is like the video game releases, or like what their projected forecast is, things that usually get leaked with this kind of stuff. But then there was like personal emails or like like a lot of in-house shop talk and things that really don't have, we have no business really talking about, in my opinion. I mean, the interesting part is just seeing what games were on the docket, and it's kind of and to see when they're planning on coming out because like it's people are curious about we know that the new Wolverine game's coming out. We know they're planning on doing the new Spider-Man, another one in the future, things like that. So to see kind of peek behind that curtain and get a heads up is interesting, but at the same time, by exposing all this, it becomes like liable. Like you're like, well, it may not come out when you project it, and also it may just get dropped. It's so early, and like we're talking about stuff, all the
some
way
of it's a
to like
decade out.
2030.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah. I
it's
mean, so they
not really
did.
smart to, you know.
So they did end up releasing most of the information. The cyber attackers. So I mean, like I think I kind of agree with that. I don't know. It depends, but in general, I think I agree with that. Not paying them money, um, because it's like a lot of that stuff is like we might. I mean, a lot of stuff. If you've been listening to video game news for a while, you know that a lot of stuff gets scrapped. you hear stuff. There's scuttlebutt. Um, the real pros, not people like us, but like real journalists, talk about how they know things, and I believe them. They're not just bragging, but they're like they hear things, they know things way in advance, and they just have to keep their mouth shut about it. Not because they're under an NDA, but because they have professional responsibility to that, and they hear things that get canceled. That hear about things like way early before they get canceled or anything like that, and so I don't know. To me, I think they probably made the right decision to not relent to the attackers. On the other hand, I mean, the data, if it was people's personal data, like some of this stuff is like passport copies, which I'm kind of curious as to why the company has that, but I guess there's probably a reason. But
Oh, well, if the company's paying for you to fly overseas and they're booking the tickets for you,
they would have to have it. Yeah, they wouldn't.
they'd probably have to have that information.
Yeah.
Also, if you're working overseas, that I can see them, or if you're from overseas working, then you'll need that information for green card status or any of that such. So that stuff really stinks. And
Yeah.
it's just I agree that in the grand scheme of things, yes, the average data, you shouldn't be spending that much money to get your data back because of the fact that it could really, depending on your company, it could really cripple you in the long run because what little cushion you have is now all gone, and it's like the next game is make or break.
Mm.
It's you can't necessarily be living that close, like and who knows how much they have invested in other things. So they may not be. It's not like Nintendo sitting on their you know war chest of funds that they can rely on. And I think one of the things that really sucks about this is the quote unquote playable build of Wolverine that was leaked,
Mm.
and what is considered playable, that's very broad. It could be anything from just like temporary art assets and and the actual level of basic movement, because you're technically able to play it and you can go to a start to an end to a finish and do a number of move sets, but it may not be nowhere near the final polished look.
Well,
And
like,
so that could give people the wrong idea of what game you're coming out with, and they could vastly change the game because that one's still coming. Wolverine's not coming out for a while yet, a handful of years. So
okay.
it's it can easily change how it looks and how it plays, a number of times between now and then.
Yeah. I mean, when is Wolverine supposed to come out? 2026, 2025?
26, I think. Yeah.
Oh, then yeah, that's a freaking alpha build, whatever they got. I mean, yeah, there's that game is going to be whatever you're playing today, whatever you're downloaded and you're playing today is it's going to be totally different. It's going to be, or it could be totally different, and likely will be, because I mean I've heard, I think the guys, I think for Naughty Dog, the first Last of Us, the developers said that the game sucked up until like 3 months before release. They were like they said it just you're working on it, and then they're like, this is not a good game, and then magically in the last 3 months it came together, and they were able to make something really great. But like it took that long, it took the whole time. And how many years was that in development? Probably 3 or 4. So yeah, I mean, if that's all they got, which I could probably do some more due diligence and read more about everything that was hacked. But if Wolverine was the biggest prize that they got, then I think that Insomniac got off pretty easy, because that game's going to
Yeah.
be different.
Yeah. But once again, like I said, some of these things they want to kind of keep under under lid.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
So
yeah,
that's why I'm not going to really go. I'm not going to go blow by blow. Like people, if you're interested, you can look it up. It's an easy Google search. Unfortunately, but it is the nature of the beast. Um, yeah. So that's it. It's it really sucks, but at the same time, if you give in a situation like this, then you're just going to be like, oh, you're easy money, and you'll get targeted again. And
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's hopefully it won't happen again. And it's it's unfortunate because they're a good team. They make good stuff. I've not been disappointed with them. So They're one of the few companies I can reliably be like, yeah, I want to play that game. Sight unseen. Like you just tell me about their game, I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm game. So
Yeah.
all right. Well, I mean, and it was a crappy way to end the holiday season, right? Especially
Yeah.
for them.
At least, I mean, there was no like, was it a couple of years ago, or the PlayStation Store went down. I know it's happened a couple of times, but like PlayStation Online went down due
The
to a
big one
hack.
happened in like 2010.
Yeah, that was probably like the biggest one. But there was one in like 2016, 2017. Some Christmas day, it got hacked, and so like, yeah, it just, it just those like those kind of hacks, like those really suck because that's just they're just being a d bag. They're just being d bags. They're just trying to ruin everyone's Christmas day. It's like, why you got to be that way, man? Anyway, um, but yeah, so yeah, that is, you're right. That's a crappy way to end the the Christmas holiday for Insomniac.
And yet you giggle. Uh,
Well, you gotta laugh to keep from crying.
yeah, right. No, it's hearts out to them. I mean, it is
It
a
is
rough
sad
spot
though.
to be in, and it's not no one deserves it. So, just hopefully, just the new year is gonna be a better year. That's all you can hope for, right?
Yep.
All right, guys. Yeah, I think that's really it for the news this time around, right? It looks
Yeah,
like on the docket here.
there's probably more we could pull out, but we're gonna be doing some extra stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah, let's jump to kind of what we've been playing. You have a few things on here, and finally, a big one, right?
yes, I have finally completed Alan Wake 2, sort of. So yeah, so anyway, I got through the end of the game, and found out that the final draft playthrough was going to be necessary, or more necessary than I thought. So anyway, so I get to start playing that. I don't know how far I'm going to get into it though. I know I'm going to play probably 5 or 10 hours of it, but I need a break from Alan Wake. Um, I need to play some other games, but yeah. So I just finished that, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually in the middle of playing Alan Wake for the second time, but not the final draft because first time I played on PC, and now I'm actually playing thanks to you and your PlayStation 5 share function. I'm now playing on my PS5. It is so much easier after playing it with the first time, and so knowing the layout and the maps, but also b like some of the control functions are so much nicer. I complained about the flashlight beforehand, and it is completely different beast on PlayStation because you just tap the R1 button and it just pretty much auto targets. So long as you're just nearby the enemy, and you can't even get interrupted that well. So it made certain things real smooth. But yeah, I'm almost done uh beating it again, and then I'm gonna go ahead and roll into the final draft as well. We'll talk more about our thoughts on the base game later on in a separate thing. So we won't really spend too much time on it now. But that's kind of been between the holiday. That's been my comfort thing. Going back to something I already kind of knew, and
Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of been my holiday game right now. But there's a few things that are on sale and such that you were looking at, right?
Yeah, so I was looking at the Nintendo and PlayStation sales, and I'm looking to get some old cheap games. Um, so yeah, so I'm kind of looking to maybe go back and play some old stuff that I'd missed. Oxenfree and Vampire Survivors. I bought those a little on Christmas Eve because those were nice and cheap. And Vampire Survivors is just it's just good. So that's a great one to take around. It fits perfectly. This was on Switch. I bought Oxenfree and Vampire Survivors, so I figured those two will play good on Switch, and they're just good to have around. Um, but for my wish list, there's two newer games that I don't think are going to be very good, but they are on sale, or one of them's on sale, and they're just very cheap. And I want to play something kind of new, so I can, to talk about it on the podcast or whatever. Also, probably not going to take very long. So, not a huge risk on these two, but 20 minutes till dawn, and then Pixel Cafe. So I'm gonna give those a try, and then for PlayStation, there's Hades, which I've played before on PC, but I think I'd like to play it on a nice big TV on my PS5. Inscription, which was like one of the biggest games of last year, the biggest surprises of last year. Disco Elysium, which everybody talks about, hails as great, and then Hollow Knight. Not so sure about Hollow Knight. I have played a little bit of it before, but I have it on PC. It's just I don't know. I just want a more comfortable experience with that game, and if I end up getting it again, kind of hard to make myself buy it again. But anyway, so I'm just kind of looking forward to maybe getting those. Nice cheap little games that I've always wanted to play but haven't really had time. So yeah, that's the plan for me right now.
Double check if Hollow Knight's on Game Pass because I think it is.
I know, but
So you can maybe.
I just have
Oh,
that on
okay.
PC. So
Yeah, I mean, if you want to use a controller, I mean, for me, it's the I've played Hollow Knight before. I think I have it on the PS4, and it was. I see why people really like it, and I give it credit for that. But there was just something just missing from it. I just could not get into it like everyone else does.
I think it's one of
Maybe
those
it gets
games that has
better after
to.
like 10 hours, but
Yeah, I was gonna say I think it's one of those
I put in a
games
handful.
that has to bite you. You have to go. I don't really care. I don't really get it. And then at like hour 10, minute 36, it just and like it becomes fun. Like Hitman was that way for me. Like Hitman, these new ones. I played that game for probably like 15 or 20 hours, close to that, before I was like, oh, this is super fun. But I had to know a lot about the game before it became that way. So maybe it's like that. But the reason, I mean, I could play. I have a controller, and I have a PC, and I played it before on PC, but I don't know. I want to sit down on the couch and play it on a good sound system on a big TV. I guess it's probably only going to be in 1080, but I don't know. The OLED is better. It's just going to be a better experience, I think. And I still may not go for it. I might do something else, but um, if I do that, that'll be the reason why.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in Inscription myself because I believe that's the same creator who did was it Pony Canyon and a few other games. And another one I can't remember that really they like to blur the lines and break the fourth wall, things like that. They really do fun, unique things.
Pony
Um,
Island.
I said Pony Canyon. Pony Canyon is the is an anime.
Oh,
um, uh,
okay.
was a TV brought to you by, and it's
Uh,
Pony Canyon. Like they're an audio group, I think. But yeah, they did like the Hex and Pony Island. Those were like the two things that I remember them doing. And yeah, so it's I I'm on purpose. I try to keep myself in the dark about it because usually if you find out the things that they do, it kind of starts ruining some of the mystique, and it's great as you start to see things unfold. At least with Pony Island, it was just like, yeah, this is a really dumb game, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's becoming really neat. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, it became kind of ridiculously hard, and then I kind
yeah,
of got stuck for a little bit, and then something else happened, and I got sidetracked, so I never got to finish it, which was that's on me, and I really do want to finish it, especially since they talked about making a sequel. So yeah,
yeah.
but totally
So
give that. I'm kind of curious to see you play that game.
yeah, it was
Inscription,
what
that
the
is.
biggest miss I think I had of last year was it. What did Inscription come out last year, or was it 2 years ago?
Uh, you know what? I don't remember. I think it was 20. Was it 21? I
No
think it was
way.
2021.
Okay. Well, anyway, 2 years ago. Um, yeah, let me check this.
But yeah,
Uh,
I mean, because it's been out for a bit now. I
2021.
thought,
Shiz. Yeah. Devolver Digital. Interesting. Daniel Mullins must be the Pony Island guy. Yeah. Okay. 2021. It probably were. I think I was just hearing about it a lot at the late 2021, and so I guess that's why it felt like 2022. I don't know.
well, I mean, it came out I know you're a big Switch fan, so it came out in December 2022.
Okay.
So that might have been what,
Uh,
triggered in your
no,
memory.
I just remember them talking about it, but now that I'm thinking about it, I was in my old apartment, so yeah. Now that I kind of remember where I was when I was listening to those podcasts, people talk about it. But yeah, it's definitely one of the ones of 2021 that I biggest misses where I was like, dang, I should have played that. That and Disco Elysium, um, as far as story and kind of all that stuff goes, definitely been high on my list for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I have a backlog I have to go through right now. There's not really much that's on my docket that I'm looking forward to be picking up right now. I mean, I'm currently I still have barely had a chance to even touch Resident Evil since last time,
Yeah.
and I'm super stoked about it. But I also I want to finish up Alan Wake first. There's the I just got Hogwarts from the library. It was just on a waiting list, so I'm like, that came in, and I remember you playing through that game and beating it, last year. So I was like, all right, you actually finished it. So I'm like, that seemed to be, that's kind of like your endorsement. I'm like, you don't take the time to finish a lot of games. I mean, you'll enjoy them, but you just don't usually commit to completion.
Yeah,
So
that one, Hogwarts was just kind of like the bullshit in that game was just kind of fun. Like like there was a lot of little
busy
things.
work, or like the checklist stuff, you mean?
Yeah, the checklist stuff was fun without and no, without being really hard, and you could kind of just like go through. The world is really good. One not obviously not the first PS5 game, but one of the earlier PS5 games that I'd really sunk my teeth into. And so like a lot of the graphics were just like first starting that game and wandering on Hogwarts, I was just like, dang, this is really real, just very realistic. And it felt like being in the movie or whatever. So I guess that's probably why it was a little bit easier to get through those first 25 hours or so, and then I did kind of rush through the last 10. That finished at about 35 hours, but yeah, it's definitely a chill. That's the other thing too, is it's a chill game. You can be like, I don't really feel like doing anything. I almost feel like going to bed, but you can just snap on and play a couple little spots to discover some stuff, and it just makes it easy to pick up and play.
Yeah, those kind of games are really nice for like just for like podcast type of games. It's like there's not a big story beat going on. Just take your time, like listen to a podcast while you do it.
Yeah,
There is
100%.
something methodical just about like going through and doing all these little checklist stuff. Every now and then I'll get into a game like that, something like a Far Cry or I think one of the last ones I remember doing that was like, oh, it was a okay game, but, like, not really great game was, like, Mad Max. Like, it just had the bunch of stuff to do, and I was like, "Alright." The core game was just it was alright. Uh, but, at the same time, it was right time, right place for me where I could just like, "Alright, this is the time where I turn off my brain, and I just roll around, do some stuff, and collect the things." And I 100% of that game. And I spent way more time like, I think at the end of the year, PlayStation gave me my list of, like, what game you played the most of? I'm like, oh dang, I played that game a little too much, didn't I? But it's like it was almost embarrassing. But I was just like, yeah, it was also like I wasn't playing it hard or serious. I didn't have to complete it for like in a matter of time. So I was just like, yeah, just chilled. So yeah, I could see that game being a nice decompressor after this holiday season. And but I do have a few things in this next year that I wanted that I didn't get to touch on, like the Armored Core that came out. I really wanted to at least see what that's all about. Uh, I'm very bad at FromSoft style games, so I'm not expecting to beat it or anything like that. But I just wanted to really just get a good feel for it. Play a handful of it. So things like that are on my to do list. Um, but yeah, it's more or less a lot of the stuff that I've just kind of had already, and it's just stockpiling. I'm like, I really need to take out a little bit of my backlog. So,
Yeah,
well, this beginning of the year is going to be pretty boring for me. So, well, boring as in like nothing brand new and shiny, but more like be a little older. So,
yeah,
so what do you got coming up that you're really looking forward to then?
yeah. So, um, kind of you're talking about getting in your backlog, and I think I'm going to do the same thing. I mean, obviously, if I'm planning to play these games, um, But this next year coming up, there's not a lot of stuff that I'm just super stoked about. Um, so there's not like a big like a Zelda title or really too much that's like obviously like, oh, I definitely have to play that. So I think this is going to be a good year for that. But there are two games that I know of that I am interested in. The first one's Tekken 8. But I probably won't buy it because I've barely played any Street Fighter. And I think I'm just gonna have to give up on the fighting games. I'm just not gonna play them enough. They're one of those games where I wish that I liked them more than I actually do. Um, because I'm not gonna play them enough to get good at them to really um enjoy them. But I am interested in Tekken 8, so I'm glad it's coming out. Maybe I can finagle a way to play it or something like that. But so I'm interested in that. But the game that I'm most interested in is Frostpunk 2. I don't remember when it was that I played Frostpunk 1 fairly recently on the podcast, a year or so ago. Um, but that game ate my life for, gosh, I think I spent like, I don't know, I think I spent not super long, but like 30 or 40 hours on it in a flash, just very, very fast. So it was one of those games where I would, sorry, I can't hear you. I lost you. Oh, there
All
you
right,
go.
how about now?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
got you.
So I think that was one of the games where that opened up your masochistic side, where you were like, it just creeped open the door. You're like, yep, I like the abuse, and then from then you started really going into those punishing games. I was expecting you to play
Wow.
like this War of Mine or something like that coming up, because you were really into a few of those games where it's like just punish me more and make me overcome like crazy obstacles.
Yeah, because Ixion was the same way, and that was the other game. And Ixion, for some reason, took it wasn't as fun, but it took longer. Weirdly enough, and it was like I know I spent 60 hours in a really short amount of time, but like for Frostpunk, I would just like it'd be like a Saturday, and I would start playing in the morning, and I'd look up like every once in a while, and it'd like 2 hours would pass, 2 hours, and then 2 hours, and then 2 hours, and just be like, dang, I'm so hungry, but this game is so freaking good. Um, yeah, so needless to say, I'm super looking forward to Frostpunk 2. That is a definite day one buy for me. Um, I, uh, I just, I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Um, I must have bought that on. I must have got that on Epic Games. I was trying to see how long I played it because I know there's. Yeah, it must have been, or was it Game Pass? Anyway, whatever. I played it a lot. I played it really fast. It was fun. So looking forward to Frostpunk 2. Hopefully that'll come out this year. They don't have a release date for it, but it said what, first half of 2024? Like,
Yeah, I believe it's supposed to be first half projected March, April ish. So, yeah, that's I'm kind of curious if it's actually gonna hold to that. My guess is it's going to be bumped back,
yeah,
probably like third quarter. They probably want to avoid that if possible because third quarter is usually pretty busy.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's for me, I guess the big one coming up it'd be in February. I think it's going to be February 29th. Uh, I think. Let me double check. But it's going to be the new Persona. Well, the new remake to Persona 3 Reload,
Mm,
and so that's for me. I'm actually really curious about that. I don't know if I have the time to sink into a Persona game, but I really liked I really liked it years ago when I played it. Um, I only played the base game. I didn't play the FES, the Festival Edition, which had some of the extra content at the end. I believe I ended up buying the portable version, and I just never like I played it for a little bit, and I just couldn't spend the time to get into it. But the mechanics were much better there. So I think to re-up some people are a little disappointed because it's not getting as high in polish as they're expecting. But I'm like, what are you like? I don't. So long as it has the quality of life upgrades and it has a slight polish, then I'm fine with it. It doesn't have to be completely from the bottom up, like ray tracing, lighting, or all this, crap. Like I honestly think the game's going to be fine. And I'm really curious how it's going to be played out. So I think that's going to be, if you never played Persona 3, you just go ahead and play this one. Wait for it. And
Yeah.
uh, I like the game a lot. It's my second favorite Persona game. 4 being my favorite, but I just like those characters a lot. But Persona 3 is super solid. So I totally recommend just keep putting some time into it if you get a chance to.
Yeah, that's one of those games I would like to play, along with Persona 5. But one of these days when I'm old and retired, maybe I can play Persona 5,
Yeah, well,
finish it
okay,
before I
I'm
die.
sorry. So the Persona 3 is February 2nd.
Okay.
February 29th was the current release date for that Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I'm curious about it. At the same time, it's just I don't know. I just one of those things that like I am just tempering my expectations because there's it's still too early, and that team, as Square Enix is, they're noted for milking franchises and making them super wonky, or at least from what they've done to Kingdom Hearts. So I don't really have the highest expectations. Uh, I mean, granted, visually looks amazing, and so did the last game. And I played and beat the base game. I did not do the DLC, in the intergrade. So at the same time, I probably will look it up online or something like that if I ever get around to playing it, just to fill in the gaps for what I didn't play. I will not play that first game again though. That
Mm.
game just became too long for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I have like 10 hours left on that. Yeah. Yeah. I've kind of fallen off that train. I don't think I'm gonna go for it. But if you get it and you're like, hey, it's actually pretty cool, then I might try to jump back in.
Yeah. Um, and then I guess the last one that I'm, within the first half of the year that I'm kind of curious about is the Eiyuden Chronicles, the 100 Heroes. So this is the Sukun guys. Uh, this is their spiritual successor, 100 Heroes. That's in line with everything else. It's always 101 stars of destiny, 101 technical party members you can get. A lot of them are missable, or all sorts of weird stuff. The games are always pretty awesome. Now, I'm not sure exactly. I'm kind of curious what scope this game's supposed to be. I would prefer it if it wasn't necessarily like a 60-hour, epic saga, and something a little smaller. But with I don't know, with the way their track record, who knows? It looks amazing. It looks just like the games I used to remember in my head, and the soundtracks were always really solid. So, yeah, that's the unfortunate thing is if it is a long game, I just don't think I'll have the time for it. Um, the heart's willing, but the lifestyle isn't. So,
The thumbs are
uh,
thumbs are not what they used to be.
yeah, I only have so much sleep I can forego.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. Well, that's kind of it. And yeah, outside of that, that's been it for the game section here. But you have been watching a few new holiday stuff. You said, right?
Yeah, whenever I went to my brother's, he turned on this sci-fi movie came out earlier this year called The Creator. Um, and I'd kind of been wanting to see it. I heard it was pretty good. It's starring, can't remember his name, but he's Denzel Washington's son, something Washington. Anyway, he's a pretty good actor. He was in Tenet and some other stuff. Black Klansman, which I haven't seen, but I want to see. But anyway, so he turned that on. So my brother turned that on one night, and I started watching. I was like, dang, this is actually pretty good. Ended up finishing it the next day. Um, and it's good sci-fi set in Vietnam. Um, and it's about like AI robots that are sentient, I guess, and their conflict with humanity. Um, and it's got a lot of cool ideas in it. Um, it it goes places. It doesn't really drag at all. It was a good movie. It was really good. It was a lot more than I expected. So I was pleasantly surprised by that. And then I watched this other movie, Christmas Day, called Candy Cane Lane with Eddie Murphy, and I forget the lady, the lady that plays his wife in it, but she's really funny too. But anyway, it's a Christmas movie that just came out at the beginning of December of this year, and it's a dumb family movie, but it has some good like grown up jokes uh, sprinkled throughout. That no, I really enjoy those. But it was just kind of silly, but it was a nice palate cleanser of a movie for Christmas Day. And so anyway, I can recommend both of those movies if you are so inclined. But you should probably watch a trailer before watching either of those, because if you're not looking for that, you're probably not gonna enjoy it. But
All
I
right.
thought they're fun.
So what is your I guess this should have been asked before before the holidays, but what is your like holiday movie list that anything you mandatory have to watch or like is usually a tradition for you?
I have a hot take on a Christmas movie. I consider The Lord of the Rings to be a Christmas a movie to watch on Christmas. I
Because that's the
know.
only time you have enough time to do nothing where everyone almost has off, so that they
See,
can watch an
that's a
extended edition.
that's a good factor, but like those movies are very they're like they feel old timey, even though they're only 23 years old or whatever. They feel they're kind of old timey. There's like no cursing in them. The music is very soft. There's like fighting, but it's kind of there's not really any blood, or when there is blood, it's just black or whatever. It's there's something about those movies that is wholesome to me, and so I don't always watch them, but like like this year I didn't because I was around other people. But like if I'm in control, I'll usually I'll usually turn them
If
on.
I'm alone, I'll watch it, but if I'm around other people, I can't watch it.
It's just one of those things. So that is like my hot take Christmas movie. For other ones, Home Alone comes on. I think it kind of switches around every year, but Home Alone tends to come out, and you know, I watched Jingle All the Way, I think 2 years ago. And that was a COVID Christmas. I had COVID that Christmas, and that was pretty brutal, a pretty brutal Christmas. But I finally watched Jingle All the Way. That would be one that I would throw on again because it's just so stupid. Um,
You gotta watch Jingle All the Way with people who, who would also really like Arnold's, acting and who know the movie enough to mock it the entire way through.
and Sinbad.
Because
I mean,
I had an old roommate who was the biggest Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, and so he and I would watch pretty much anything and everything at any given time. And just be like, yeah, let's just pop in, like pop in Predator for the upteenth time, or like we'll watch like Last Action Hero,
oh yeah,
stuff like that. And it was just or True Lies, it's just like it was, and then you're just doing your dumb Arnold voice while just watching it, and it's great.
yeah.
As a movie itself, it's crap, but it's hilarious with the right people.
Those movies are always great because everyone's seen them a bunch, and so you can dip in and dip out. You can talk over them. You can shout. You can like everyone can forget about it and go in the kitchen for like 30 minutes, and then while you make like your popcorn and chocolate and s'mores or whatever over the stove, and then be like, "What were we doing? Oh yeah, True Lies is still on in the other room," and you come back and I don't know. Those movies are great for that. The Arnold movies are probably
Yeah,
the best for that.
it's your like your holiday comfort food, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, so I don't know if I answered your question, but basically, yeah.
All right. Well, that's cool. Yeah, that's really it. I guess, for me, my family just does, we end up, I do the traditional Die Hard. Um,
Hmm.
and then I think this year we did a Muppets Christmas Carol.
I watched that
I think
last year.
we did I think a couple years back, I think it was during COVID, we did like 5 renditions of the Christmas Carol. One with Patrick Stewart, one like you got the Muppets, you have Scrooge, which I still it's probably arguably one of the best holiday movies. And it's like, but I forget, we just went through a bunch of them and we're like, all right, kind of rated them in our own brain. I'm like, this is what we like. Uh, but my kids don't know anything about the Muppets, so I'm like, all right, I'll just leave this on, and this kind of just you know well, like I said, you can talk over it. Don't really have to pay attention. Come back every now and then. Uh, yeah, I always like Michael Caine is great in it. He does his bit well. But yeah,
Um, yeah, he was
yeah,
pretty good in that Muppet one. You were talking about Die Hard. So I think it was last year. It must have been last year. There's this group chat that I'm in, and this guy popped off with he didn't think that Die Hard was a Christmas movie. Um, and he had some weak little argument or whatever. And this lady responded to him with a very well written, eloquent, or well argued essay on why Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and just totally cratered him, just like just like set the record straight. It was a sight to behold. Um, anyway, so
well, I actually think that if with when you compare to other Christmas movies, there is a huge argument to be made why it is a Christmas film. There's a lot of films out there that aren't that are classic and quote unquote classic films. I'm like, no, they're kind of garbage. Um, what's the one that they show on TV every year? I
it's a Wonderful
absolutely
Life.
hate it. Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life.
Uh,
I mean,
uh,
that whole movie from front to back is garbage. I'll say it. That is my stance. The movie is literally about it. Nice guys, if you're lucky, break even. That is it. He is taking advantage of the entire movie. He literally is abused. Life sucks for him. Uh, he ends up missing good opportunities because he just doesn't trust in himself or his friends. It's like, and by the end of it, just because he's been dishing out everything, he's been so good to everyone. You're lucky to maybe get a few handouts to break even at the end. Like that is like it just happens to be during Christmas. There's no real the actual Christmassy part of it is far and few in that whole movie. So that's you know it's just
yeah,
it happens it ends in the Christmas. It's the Christmas spirit to be at all charitable, and I guess if it happened during October, he'd be screwed.
yeah.
It's just yeah. I mean, that movie is not a good movie at all. When
I've
you compare it
only
to any other Christmas movie.
I've only seen it once. I think around 2011 or so, and I don't remember hardly anything about it. But
It's well, once again, it's not memorable. You're better off watching. I will argue that Gremlins is a better Christmas movie.
Gremlins is good.
Hands down.
Gremlins is a great Christmas movie. I wish Gremlins
Uh,
2 I wish Gremlins 2 was set at Christmas, but I think it's set in the summertime.
Yeah,
Christmas.
unfortunately, my kids are a little too young to watch Gremlins at this point now, but, when they get a little older, Gremlins is most definitely gonna be on that list, but yeah, that and A Christmas Story. That's, the true and blue classic. Um, it's funny because
Oh yeah,
I think it's set up in Indiana. It's the kid that wants the BB
gun.
gun.
Yeah, yeah.
And, it was once I got a, fortune cookie, and I opened it up, and it's like, "In God we trust, all others must pay cash." And I thought it was hilarious, and it wasn't until, like, a year or 2 later that I realized that is the book in which A Christmas Story is based on. Like, if
Oh
you just watch the opening, it's, like, based on the book, and "In God We Trust," it's just like, "All others must pay cash." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that makes perfect sense now." And why it would be in my fortune cookie, because of the way that movie ends. You're like but no, I actually ended up, showing that to the family again because, some family members forgot about that, so I'm like, "Yeah, alright, here we go. Here's your, mandatory watching."
I don't have cable anymore, but do they still do 24 hours of A Christmas Story on Christmas Day
That I have no idea.
on
I got it
TBS?
off of YouTube TV.
Okay. because like
That was thanks to a friend.
that was the
So
thing every year on TBS. They would do 24 hours of a Christmas story, and I every year I would tell myself I'm gonna sit down and watch the beginning to the end of this movie, and I never did. I've probably seen that movie 10 times, but I've never seen it all at once. I've only seen it in 30-second to like 5-minute increments.
I generally love that movie. Just the interactions of the kids, the families. It's wonderfully done. The attitude and like the acting of like the mother. Just all the subtle nuances behind it. It's perfect in the sense that it feels like a real family. It feels legit. Um, younger brother cry thinking that the older brother's gonna get in trouble with the dad and his reactions. I'm like, that's very believable. Um, the way like the dad just reacts to some of the kid getting up from under the sink. He just kind of doesn't say a single word, just looks in confusion and shrugs and goes back to his newspaper. He's like, you can see what he's thinking, and then but not a single word of dialogue is spoken. And then or like just being the kid being upset, being like getting his mouth washed out with soap and being like, yeah, if I go blind, that more or less that'll teach you. You'll feel sorry for me then. It's like I can't like that's his hope is that he can get back at his parents by going blind because he had to have his mouth washed out with soap, you know? And when you're a stupid little kid, you
You
think
think
stuff
things
like
like
that,
that,
and
yeah.
it's just yeah, yeah, it's ridiculous, but, it's funny. Though I did get to, um, scare my kid into, like, when he's looking at the, kid licking the pole, he's like, "What's he doing?" And I'm like he's like, "He's licking a pole outside." He's like, "You don't do that while it's cold." And he goes, like, "You need help?" I'm like, "Yes, he'll need the fire department." Like, he gets his head ripped from the pole, and he's like my kid's like, "Is it hurt?" I'm like, "Yes, it hurts." So
Yep.
that's why you don't do stuff like that. It's just, my wife is like, "You're gonna traumatize our kid." I'm like, "That's fine."
Yep. Someone's got to do it. It might as well be me.
I mean,
Oh, that's
if
funny.
it teaches them not to do stupid stuff, all right, that's fine.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah,
Christmas
that's
time.
it. Uh, Traumatizing my kid into adulthood. So one step at a time.
One step at a
Uh,
time.
all right. Well, if you guys made it to this far, we appreciate it. It's been a really silly episode. This last one of the year. So thanks for sticking with us, and you know, happy New Year's to everyone out there. So Nick, what are your words of wisdom carrying us into the new year?
Um, Start on your New Year's resolutions now.
Yeah, good point. Because
By the time that you actually listen to this, it will be time to start your New Year's resolution, pretty much. So, anyway,
just do something achievable. Just say like my goal is to, you know, spend every Saturday 3 hours a day on the couch, and then you'll feel proud of yourself that you've accomplished your goals.
remember
Uh,
it's better to burn out than fade away.
all right. Well, this has been another Dead Pixel, episode 60, and thank you very much, guys. Until next time, y'all take it easy.
Bye.